Okay, so I have read Redefining Realness by Janet Mock, and before I read this book, I actually didn't know that it was written by a trans woman. It's such a awesome read. It's my first time really going into, I guess, understanding and learning about how it is growing up when you don't fit in into a heteronormative society. So the terms boy and girl can be confusing for a person who doesn't feel like they fit into one or the other or neither. So non-binary individuals don't feel really connected to being either male or female. And then trans people, they actually feel like they are not the sex they were assigned at birth. And in the book Redefining Realness, it was a great start for me to understand the personal story, the childhood, teenage years, and adulthood of a trans woman. Janet Mock did an awesome job. So I just want to speak from like a personal battle that I've had with gender. And I felt like I wasn't respected when I dressed feminine and when I represented myself as being more masculine and aggressive. I felt more respected as a person and not as a woman. And I don't I didn't know this then, but I know it now. And what I realized was that like I hated myself. You know, I didn't feel like I was enough. And I hated that I felt this way because I felt like men had something more than I did. But I know that that isn't the truth. Patriarchy and socially constructed ideas of power, which men usually have, and what should be praised when it comes to gender, it really fucked my head up. And I know this isn't the experience of others, but it's mine. If it wasn't for me being able to talk with close friends, I think I would have stayed stuck in self-hatred. And I had it in my head that masculinity and being a man and being aggressive gave people power. I think this is where my idea of wanting to be less of a woman and more of a man, like that's where it stemmed from. It's really, I want to share a quote from the book. Let's see. So it's on page 39. It says, I've heard parents say all they want is the best for their children, but the best is subjective and anchored by how they know and learn the world. Now, I think this is really important because it's limiting and oppressive, the labels we use to clarify what makes someone a man or a woman. Instead of looking at the actions of an individual, we constantly dissect them into tiny pieces that fit into little boxes that line up with socially constructed heteronormative ideas, which many people's spirit don't align with. And people end up wanting to kill themselves because they're underrepresented or they do not have the relationships and resources that encourage them and tell them they are human and there is no normal. And gender is a socially constructed idea that increases mental, physical, and spiritual harm to individuals who don't fit in. And I read on vocative.com, it was about suicide for transgender individuals, and it said 46% of transgender and gender non-conforming teens and adults have attempted suicide, compared to 20% of lesbian, gay, and bisexual. And I just think if people could be more accepting of the idea that, you know, what we've learned for so long, what it's supposed to be isn't really what it is, because obviously we see this in our everyday lives when everyone isn't living up to what is normal. There is no normal, you know. What's normal is making people feel loved and having compassion for people's differences. And I think that's something that's really important. This book was amazing. I read it, and yeah, I just big ups to all the people who are, you know, living their truth. You inspire me, and keep loving yourself. All right, peace.